Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 7. Today, I will be talking to Ann Savogan, and we'll be talking about her fitness journey, to include her recent feature in Oxygen magazine. This is one of our spotlight episodes, which, to tell you the truth, they're quickly becoming one of my favorites. So if you've done something badass, I would love for you to be on a future spotlight episode. We are all at different points in our journey, but we can totally help each other get to the next step. Your story could be the exact thing that somebody else needs to hear. So don't be afraid. Go to ordinarytobadass.com/podcast and apply today. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I'm glad you're here. Today's guest is Ann Savogan. Ann, thank you so much for being here. Excited to have you on the show.
I'm so honored to be here, and I'm hoping that our listeners will take away some really meaningful, actionable steps.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, before we go any further, I've got to ask you, do you consider yourself to be ordinary or badass?
On a good day, badass, 100%. Sometimes
Nice.
I wake up and I'm like, oh man, definitely badass. Let's go with badass.
Love it. Have you always felt that way?
That's a great question. I think that I've always had like a unique little spunk to me, and over the years when you're trying to figure out like who you are in high school and college, you kind of go through self-discovery. And I went from trying to realize it's okay to not fit in and to not be ordinary. And it was like liberating when I realized it's okay to be different, and it's okay to have high expectations for myself and pursue passions that may not be ordinary to most people. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. So can we start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I've always been someone who's been moving my body ever since I was a little kid. So I've always considered myself an athlete, and I just love the way that it made me feel psychologically, physically. And I was fortunate to have a father who was a high school football coach. So whether or not I wanted to, I always found myself on his football field or the sidelines of his football field, messing around with a ball, or just staying active with some of their agility drills. And it allowed me to pursue some of the highest level of competition at the collegiate level. And once that kind of was over for me, I kind of asked myself, well, what's next? I love, fitness. It was such a big and very positive part of my life. And it helped me kind of understand so much about how to be successful as a colleague and as a wife and as a parent now, that I wanted to figure out how I can still incorporate that into kind of my daily rituals, if you want to call it that. So about a year ago, I bit the bullet. I had been thinking about it for several years, and I had been too scared, which is one of the, deep dive discussions that I would love to get into with you today, just in case anyone felt the way I did. And I decided it was time to take action and to stop talking about it. And I went ahead, and as a, full-time working professional with 2 children at that time,
Busy.
I just had a passion for helping people. And I used that to kind of drive my mindset behind my business. And I was like, you know what? I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm just going to continue to, as I like to say, fail forward, kind of figure out in the process of working through obstacles, what it is that I want to do. And I ended up creating my business. And from that, I then went on to get some really unique, really cool opportunities to work with some pretty big name companies within the fitness industry. They've taught me a tremendous amount about how to present yourself in like the global market, which is oversaturated. Although I'll also give some tips that regardless of what field you're in, there are some qualities that individuals can possess that will allow them to kind of stand out and not be so ordinary, if you will. And so I'd love to share those later too. But I think that has allowed me to kind of move into the position that I am today, which is, most recently, and I hope I'm not dating this podcast, but I was just featured in Oxygen magazine, which is so cool.
So exciting.
When people are like, oh my gosh, like that's awesome. Like you're famous. I'm like, I don't care about that. I care about like furthering the message that everyone, no matter what stage of your life you're in, has the potential to pursue something that they're passionate about. And I drive that home with the students in my classroom on a daily basis. Granted, they're like teenagers, so they haven't figured out yet what it is that they want to do. But all the way up until, my friends who are, married professionals and, sometimes in jobs that they don't like, and they go there every single day and they're too afraid to leave. And so we talk about, developing mental strategies to help them either cope with their environment, but more importantly, figure out, well, how can we get you to that next level of pursuing it is that you are passionate about and what your dream job is. And like life is too short to not be doing those things. So let's figure out how we can make that happen.
Yeah. And I love that you're teaching it to students in your classroom that are teenagers, because it's important to start hearing it young. I don't think we hear it young enough.
Yeah, so true. I mean, they look at me and they're like, Mrs. Svogen, it's period 1 a.m. It's not even 8 o'clock. And you're talking about, deep philosophical topics with us. I'm like, isn't this amazing? They're like, yeah, I guess so. I'm like, you'll thank me later.
Yes, they will appreciate it later.
Yeah.
So I know that you said you were featured in Oxygen magazine, but what is it for? What do you do in fitness?
Yeah, so I am a behavioral change specialist. I'm a weight loss specialist, and I'm I would say a month away from adding personal training certification to kind of my umbrella of specialties. My focus is on women, although I do have a demographic of individuals who are males. And my goal is to take these individuals from point A, which is, this is where I currently am with my health and fitness, to point B, which is, this is where I want to be. This is where I know I've been in the past, or where I would like to see some strides in that direction. And we approach it not just from the physical aspect, which is, well, okay, I can do 1 push-up today and my goal is to get to 10. That's great, but it's only one part of who we are as people. There's a physical, there's a emotional, and there's a mental capacity that once you have them working in harmony, truly helps you develop as an individual. And it changes your whole outlook on life. And so what I'm trying to get them to do is kind of reprogram themselves to get past their unconscious mind. I read an article the other day that was talking about how 40% of our daily actions are things that we're doing that we don't even realize we're doing, and we're going through the motions. And that's terrifying. So if you can program yourself the first time you do something to do it with intention, to do it with purpose and with drive and with passion, then at least you're setting yourself up. So whatever you're doing on autopilot is to the best of your ability. But we want to be intentional with our actions, and we want to take action. And those two things are scary and they're hard.
Totally.
And people don't like to do those things because they're uncomfortable, and they lead to self-doubt, and they could lead to failure. And that's something that I've struggled with for the majority of my life. Is I'm someone who's very hard on myself, and I have extremely high expectations for myself. And so for a long time, that concept of fear of failure prevented me. I was my own worst critic from doing things that I knew could help other people in the event that I couldn't do it to the degree that I wanted as fast as I wanted to. So I know that was kind of a roundabout answer for you. But I think that there's a lot to developing an individual beyond just the physical. And it's not talked about as much. Oftentimes on Instagram, you'll see these amazing athletes who have the ripped 6-pack, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, how did they get that? Well, discipline for sure, but they're also taking care of their bodies and their minds. And they're starting each day with the intentional focus of this is not only how I'm going to train, this is how I'm going to eat. This is how I'm going to prepare. I'm going to document what I'm doing. There's some thought behind this, and consistently over time, they're doing this to get to that eventual point that they want to hit.
Yeah, and I think the behind the scenes stuff is the stuff that nobody really knows about or recognizes. And the mental
Yeah.
health and the self-care is huge for
Yeah.
anything if you want to be successful. But I
Yeah.
don't know that it's talked about or realized enough.
Yeah, I think you just brought a really good point. There was this Chinese philosopher. This is the history teacher in me coming out. So I apologize. But he had this like story that it takes on average 5 years to grow like this Chinese bamboo plant. And ultimately, it is every single day this person going out and catering to the soil and watering the soil. And like people walking by being like, dude, it hasn't been just 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or four. Like, what are you seeing for the fruits of your labor? Like, you look ridiculous. Like, stop. Right. And so, had you listened to those people at any point during that process, you would have killed your dream. You would have let other people dictate your future. And yet, at that 5th year, at some point during that year, can't tell you the exact day, but it goes from in that process of seeing no sprout to a sprout to within 5 weeks, that bamboo plant going up, 90 feet into the sky. And so what I think is interesting when I take away from it is you may not see the fruits of your labor right away, and it's going to be hard, and people are going to question you, and it's going to be unpopular because you're doing something that only perhaps you can see in that very moment. But the overnight success, if you will, is bogus, is not true. What you said is people behind the scenes are grinding day in and day out for that ultimate moment where it all comes together for them. And I think that's what's so special that like you need to remember is it does take time. Anything worthwhile is going to be hard and you're going to face challenges, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it.
Totally. And you're not a failure if it doesn't happen overnight or doesn't happen in a year. You're just keep on plugging away,
Yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit and talk about a year ago. You said this all changed for you about a year ago. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So take us back to a year ago. What were you going through? How are you feeling?
Scared. I had no money for this. I literally had this idea in my head of what I wanted to do, and I had no direction. I'm a history teacher. I can tell you how to write an amazing 5-paragraph essay. I cannot tell you the first thing in terms of business management in a field that is already oversaturated. So I just made the decision that this was something I was going to do, and I went for it. And I invested in myself. I saved some money, and for my birthday and for holidays, I had asked, family members that I wanted to enroll in a business course online, which I would be able to do from my home. And through taking these courses on top of a full-time job and 2 children, so you have to get creative with, the goals that you have if you truly, want to do something. But I learned, the proper business mindset and the strategies behind it and how to present yourself professionally, like an expert in your field. And that was something that I was like, oh, yeah, true. I've been doing this since I was walking. How can I take this content knowledge that I have, that I know, and use my teaching background that I have, that I've been doing for a decade now, and kind of marry them together. And that's what's so cool. It's like the creativity and the background of fitness blending now with a passion that I've had for teaching for forever. So,
yeah. And I'm a big believer that you just keep plugging away. Like you do teaching, you do fitness, you do all the things that you're passionate about, and somehow they'll marry together later. You just might not see it all at the beginning.
Yeah, totally.
So on your Instagram post, when your oxygen article came out, you had talked about being on the floor crying, doing a push-up, or not being able to do a push-up. Can you talk about that?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. Yeah, so like humbling experiences, right? We all have them. They're hard to kind of like reflect on because it's when you're vulnerable the most. And that particular post, I'm going to share with you something I've never shared on any other podcast, was difficult for me because as proud as I was in that moment that I was in a public building looking at a picture of me in a magazine, which is cool, arguably, the journey that it took for me to get there was, oh my gosh, such a long, very self-seeking, difficult, I'm trying to find the right words here, transition for me. Children change you in ways that you cannot begin to describe. And if you're a parent, and anyone who is listening who's a parent, you know that. Especially if you're a woman, you carry these children inside you for months, and then they come out and your life has changed. And in the process, pregnancy is such a interesting topic because there are such controversial issues surrounding, should you train? How much should you train? When should you be training? Like, that was really what got me interested in deep diving into fitness. If you were really to think about it, was why is there such conflicting literature out here about pregnancy and post-pregnancy? And I know emotionally women struggle with, once you have that child, like, I want my body back, right? That's the first thing we say. And we want it back like yesterday. And yet your body's like, sweetheart, like, you just like birthed the child. Like, you need to give yourself some time. So I struggled with presenting myself like this loss of identity, this loss of strength, because I hadn't trained the way I used to. And it was like, you know, the rock bottom for me in terms of like where I was on like my fitness journey. I had never been that weak. I had never been so insecure. And I had a lot of soul searching to do to get me in the right mental state as well as physical state to be in front of you today and be like, yes, I can arguably do more push-ups, but the mindset shift up here was so much more important to how I approached those tasks in the gym and how I interact with people on a daily basis. So, I mean, I dealt with anxiety. I dealt with postpartum depression. I dealt with, you know, physical insecurities and body, you know, dysmorphic, you know, disorders where you look at yourself and you don't see what is being reflected in the mirror. And so those are all things that I've had a very difficult time, that are very personal, that I've never shared. But I think it's important that if someone like me has felt that way, like, there are hundreds of other women who also felt that way. And what is important for them to realize is if they're not in the place that they want to be yet, they can be, and they should be, and they will be, with some proper, you know, techniques to help them get there.
Yeah, I love that. When you were in the basement crying on the floor, how are you feeling? And was that after you had the child that was going on?
Yeah.
So I just want you to take us back to that moment and really, what were you feeling in that moment?
Yeah, that was after I had my child, and I just felt weak and insignificant. And I'm sure it's a normal reaction for women to feel, because at that point, if you are someone who is breastfeeding, you're like, I've literally given this child life, and now I'm still giving, I'm providing for them. And so you are exhausted. But at the same time, you know, there's something inside that's pushing you forward, that drive, that like, I won't give up on myself, and I want to get back to baseline, if there is such a definition of a baseline for athleticism, and our general health. And to be honest, as tired as I was and as upset as I was, like, even just that 30 minutes that I gave myself, I realized was doing more for my mental health than it was for my physical well-being at that very moment. And then as I continued to show up day after day after day, yeah, they were modified in the beginning. My form was bad. And it's funny because people will look at you and be like, oh, you look that way your whole life. You know, like, who cares? Like, not a big accomplishment. Oh no, like, we all start somewhere. We've all hit rock bottom at some point. And it's what you do after that point. And I think consistency is key, and believing in yourself is key. And we often psych ourselves out from being able to accomplish something before we even start it, to protect us, almost like a defense mechanism. So, yeah. And again, that was me too. And my husband was detrimental in terms of like being such a huge support network to say, you know what, you are a nicer woman when you work out. And oh, by the way, like, it's helping you psychologically realize that you can accomplish something. Yes. So it went from not being able to do a push-up to even just being able to do one, like, seeing that progress, it does a lot for your mental psyche.
Yeah. I don't think when I was younger, I ever appreciated the mental health benefits of fitness, but yeah, it's so amazing, you know, how much it helps. But yeah, what would you say to the woman that's crying on the floor right now?
Gosh, I would say, girl, I've been there and it sucks. It's not easy. And I think that as much as we love, whether it be the fact that we've had children, or even if you just, you know, for whatever reason you don't have kids, but fitness hasn't been a priority for you, it doesn't mean that it has to be this way forever. It is never too late. And I think that oftentimes when you look at, if you want something in your life, if there's something that sets your soul on fire, if you want to change yourself, if you want to acquire something, like there's got to be this push that you have, this drive that you have that needs to come out. And there's no reason why that over time it can't and it won't, but you've got to show up for yourself and do it for yourself. And that's hard. No one tells you that. No one tells you how hard it's going to be.
Right.
It sucks. Right. And if it were easy, everyone would do it. Right. I mean, when you think about it, like there is such a plethora of information out there about how to get healthy or how to get a six pack or how to make even six figures, because people are doing it and they've written books about it. So it's not the, I guess, availability of this information. It's what you choose to do with it. Do you choose to take action? Do you choose not to take action? If you choose to take action, what do you do? Do you show up again after you didn't work out the first time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time? I mean, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, right? He went on to arguably be one of the most successful athletes in all of, the NBA. If not, you can argue the umbrella of athletics as a whole in terms of professional athletes, because he not only wanted to win, he was a tremendous competitor. He did it with class, but his drive, his motivation to get better and to overcome adversity, which he experienced at a very young age, I think is a great example for how we can approach situations where we are at our lowest and we're feeling weak and we're feeling vulnerable and we don't know what to do. Yes. But then you hit that point where you're like, I need to do something.
Yep.
And that's where you come to see me and we talk.
Love it.
And I give you some strategies and then we get you in a good place, emotionally, socially, and as well as physically.
So speaking of being in a good place, you mentioned earlier about looking in the mirror and experiencing like body dysmorphia. How do you overcome that? Or what is a step or two somebody could take to feel better about themselves?
Yeah. So I think it's tough. Like social media these days has really made it difficult for women to not compare themselves to others. It is natural to look at a picture of someone on Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. Wow. She's amazing. I want to look like her. But then you have to step back, because chances are good if it's a professionally polished picture. And I'm not saying this across the board. It's like gross generalization, but there's probably some Photoshop going on behind the scenes to enhance certain features of that individual that perhaps you find admirable, that may cause you to look at yourself in a different, more negative light. So my biggest recommendation for those individuals is to not compare themselves to someone else. Use that as motivation, fine. But to realize that this is your own journey. You started this fitness journey at a separate time of someone else. You have a different body type. You have different genetics. You have different physical, possibly muscle imbalances. And so when I work with clients, we really sit down and we look at their starting point. Where have you experienced success in the past in fitness? Have you? What does that look like? Where have you experienced difficulties? Why? Let's really kind of dissect this a little bit. And then what can we do moving forward to build you up step by step and with actionable immediate steps that can be used that will help you get to where you want to be. So to get back to your question, it's not a matter of comparison of you to someone else. It's comparing where you started to where you want to go and where you end up. And I think that and many times with these challenge groups that athletes participate in, it's nice because you are comparing your original photo to where you end up 3 months from now. So that's kind of where you want to be. And that takes a step back of reflection. If you notice that those negative thoughts start creeping in, that I don't look the way I want, or I don't see myself the way I want, and to really just embrace the features you have and the health that you have. And if it's not where you want it to be, there's things you can do to help that. They had an article out the other day that said that 66% of America is obese. And then from that percentage, 70% of those people were tremendously overweight. So when you look at that, you're looking at percentages of people being 25 to 30% over their healthy body weight, which leads to pressure on your joints, which leads to health issues, diabetes, hypertension, you name it.
Right.
Those are all preventable things, right?
Yeah.
They're linked to your mental psyche. If you're feeling overweight and you're feeling sluggish or your joints hurt, it's going to impact at some level your mental psyche at some point of the day, right? So if you can somehow rewire yourself to make conscious decisions, healthy decisions, all of these begin to act in the domino effect of positively impacting your life.
So say I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm like, you look fat. What would be something that you would say to yourself like to follow that up?
Oh man, that's a good one. Are you wearing yoga pants? Are you wearing jeans? That's a tough one. Is it a holiday season? Is it not a holiday season? These are important questions. I would say again, if you are unhappy with the way you look, which is normal, you can either, throw yourself a self-pity party, or you can get help. And getting help is hard, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It could be literally you making the decision that instead of taking the elevator in work today, I'm going to take the stairs. Instead of drinking Coke, I'm going to grab a bottle of water. There are small life decisions that you can make that will alter ultimate grander decisions. In that very moment, it's hard, and it takes time to, stop feeling so sad.
So kind of like instead of having the victim mindset, just have like a warrior mindset, or
have the badass mindset. Yeah. Be badass. And I think if you were to really kind of break that down, it's if you want anything in life, whether it be a different type of body or a job or whatever it is that you're pursuing, the only way you're going to get that is if you level up. And the only person that's going to do that is you. You've got to be the one who makes that decision. And what I would say is extremely helpful in doing that is to write down as descriptively as possible what it is that you want. Why do you feel fat? What is it that's making you feel fat? Okay. What actions are you currently participating in that may contribute to that? All right, great. Throw that to the side. What is it that you want? This is our starting point. Where is it that you want? I want to fit in a size 8 jeans when I'm a size 10. Okay, great. Now we have something tangible that we can measure.
Yes.
All right. And then from there, then we start building up, well, how can we do this? All right. And that's really where I think it is hard. It's messy. It's, fear of the unknown, right? Can I do it? Can I not do it? And then that concept of self-doubt, you've got to take out that doubt and replace it with I can, and I will, and I deserve this. And I think that's really what helped me, whether it be starting my business when I had no idea what I was doing, to staring at myself, crying in a mirror that I couldn't do, said push-up, was I deserve more. I am capable of more, and I am going to do more. And the shift went from, in my head, I would like for this to happen. I would like to lose 5 pounds. I would like to be able to do a push-up. I would like to have my own business too. No, I'm going to do it. It's a matter of when I'm going to do it. Yes. And the biggest thing for me that helped was, like, I know it sounds corny, but a dream board. I created a dream board, and I put the most ridiculous things I wanted to accomplish in my fitness journey on there. Donating to charities, hosting a live workout, being on the cover of a magazine, being featured by a major fitness company like bodybuilding.com, owning my own clothing line. And I looked at this dream board at the beginning of the school year, so maybe last month, and I was like, oh my gosh, with the exception of being on the cover of Oxygen, I'm in it. So I'll cut myself a little bit of slack, but I've done everything on that. Like, I have to create another big ass, badass dream board. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cool, but also terrifying.
Yeah. So where do you keep the dream board? Is it somewhere you can see it regularly?
Every day.
Nice.
Every day I have that dream board, and it's full of quotes, and it's full of pictures, and it's full of just mantras that I live by. And like I said, I think that when you have that in your face and you have the mindset that it's going to happen, it will.
So earlier when we were talking, you said you had, like at the beginning of the interview, you said when you were doing fitness that there were certain tips or qualities that you could do to stand out, probably in the fitness world or anything you're going to be successful at.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that people need to realize that they could do, and it's a very easy thing, is just to show up consistently and be your authentic self. And those two things sound easy, but they're not, because oftentimes we look at these perfectly polished pictures and we think this is what people want to see. And so perhaps if you don't have a professional photographer, you're like, well, I can't post my picture today because I don't have one. So I just won't. I'm just going to wait here. Or same thing with content. I don't know what to say today. I don't. Do people even want to listen? Do people even like my pictures, right? Instead of just putting it out there and showing up and just doing it, as messy as it is. So I think that consistency is king.
Yes.
And I think that being authentic is what people want. We don't want the perfect polished Patty who behind the scenes is like melting down and crying behind her phone, although she just posted a picture of her smiling. We want to see the days that you struggle just as much as we want to see the days that you succeed. And I think that was kind of why I put in those personal pieces, if people read that far, in my post, to show that we are, at the end of the day, we're human and we experience things just like anyone else. And we are the same as anyone else. And that human connection, the ability to relate to people and actually take the time and connect with them, is priceless. And it's hard because when you think about the amount of time that we spend on our phones, I mean, I'm guilty of this too. Like when I come home, I have to make a conscious effort, and I'm getting better, to put down my phone and be like, all right, guys, like now I'm going to do homework with you, or now we're going to go play outside, or now as a family, we're going to do blank, right? It's so easy to be like, did someone like my posts? I need to check to see like how many likes I have or how many comments I have. So I think that technology, as great as it is in bringing people together on a larger scale, and the availability of people like you and I to connect, or even us to connect with celebrities, is amazing.
Right.
But we also have to realize that does not replace the human connection that we have to each other in the same room, versus even if you spend the time to make a comment on my post, I will comment on every single comment. And I think that's important too.
Yeah, I'm such a believer in being consistent and persistent. Like you just got to keep doing it over and over and over, even when it appears nobody's looking, and just, I mean, even if nobody's looking, if you're putting yourself out there and you're being authentic, it doesn't matter.
Right. It's so true.
You're doing what you're passionate about, you know?
Exactly. So well said.
How can we find your issue of Oxygen magazine?
On every major convenience store location. No, I'm kidding. It's hard to find. So like, I emailed Oxygen when they had told me that they were going to do this feature earlier this week. And I was like, hey, like, did you guys end up doing that article? And their guy's like, yeah, it's like out. I'm like, it is? And I'm at school. So I immediately text my mom, because she's my best friend. And I'm like, Ma, here's your goal for today. You are going to go to the stores and find these. And she's like, I went to 4 of them and I could only find 1. I'm like, what? So the politically correct answer is they should be in any store that sells Oxygen magazine, or airports or wherever. I texted my friend who's in London. I'm like, hey, if you happen to see one when you're in the airport, get it. And I won't even charge you to sign it. He's laughing at me. But yeah, any store that carries Oxygen, it's the fall issue of that. And then I'm towards the back where they talk about like fitfluential women that are on Instagram. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So let's end with a tip to empower women and how the audience can connect with you.
Yeah. So I think if I were to give you like one takeaway, I would say that no matter where you are on your fitness journey, there's always room for improvement to where you want to go if you're not where you want to be yet. And again, that just comes down to like consistently showing up and consistently living your life with passion, and deciding that you're going to allow yourself, if you make a mistake, to push past that and to focus on and continue to kind of convince yourself that you are worthy and that you don't have to doubt yourself, and that it's okay if you make a mistake. I mean, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You can make another mistake, right? Thomas Edison failed like 100 times before he made the light bulb, but we don't hear about the failures, right? Some of the most successful baseball players who hold home run records also hold the records for the most strikeouts. We don't hear about those. So I think the takeaway is I was always someone who was so concerned with being perfect and getting it right the first time. And if not, it almost prevented me from doing things because I couldn't reach that level of mastery. And now it's liberating because I realize I don't have to be, and that's okay. We're continual learners. If there's something you don't know, there's either resources out there that are available to you, or there are people out there like me who want to help you like live your best life, put your best self forward. But you have to be willing to invest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And I think a kind of a cool takeaway to it would be for if you're into fitness, think about what it is you want and write it down. And then think about why. Think about your 3 reasons why, and be as explicit and as detailed as possible in those reasons. And the reason I say that is because there are going to be days where you're going to be tried. There are days it's going to be challenging, or you're tired and you just don't feel like doing it. And then you're going to take out that list and you're going to say, no, I deserve more. And these reasons are going to like act as your foundation, and they're going to push you forward. And your why is arguably the most important thing that's going to help keep you focused. And my why is my kids. I would do anything for them. And I think they deserve to have a loving mother who is going to be there for them and give them attention and give them the tools they need to be successful. And I can't do that if I'm not my best self. That's not fair to them. And so not only to keep up with them on the flag football field, which arguably I was embarrassed last weekend. That would be too obvious. The physical benefits are too obvious. But again, to go back to mental health, I think that it's so connected together. Kind of tying in all of these aspects of your well-being will make you a more successful mom, business partner, whatever, colleague. And it allows you to live your life with passion and purpose, because we don't know how long we're going to be on this earth for. So it's like, if I wait for that perfect moment until I've done this, this, and this, it may never come. And then what?
Yep.
Then you die with your dream. And that's just terrible that you haven't shared like your passion and your talents with the world.
And your kids. What better lesson to teach your
Right.
kids to have them see their mom, doing what she's passionate about and going after her dreams, because then they can learn and do the same.
Yeah.
So how can we connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Both of them are thefitblonde.us. I would love to connect with you. If you guys are listening to this and you took away anything, please shoot me a DM or put me in your stories and I'll give you a shout out back. I'd love to connect with all of you and just really get to know you and how I can better service you in whatever capacity you need in your life.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anne, for being on the show. You have been a total badass, and I've enjoyed hearing your story.
Thanks for having me.
With that, we'll end our show. And to all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, own it and get after it. Hey, friend. As you know, this podcast is still new. I would love to get the word out there. So if you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you headed on over to iTunes and left a review. And then, of course, make sure to screenshot it and send it to me on Instagram or at ordinarytobadass@gmail.com so I can say thank you.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future Spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.